Odibo chieftaincy family. Now is what is called the Bajulaye kingship. That's where I came from. So I'm a proper Lagosian. That's my father's side. Then from my mother's side, it's called Eletu Iwashe. Because we all need to know our history so that these non-entities, these imbeciles, these moronic, nomadic, idiotic, useless human beings will not come into our land and start to dictate. And just in case any one of you may not know, the Fulanis are less than 10%, even 1% of who we are in Nigeria. They are less than 3 million. And population is telling us we are 200. In other words, the Fulanis, this egregious hegemony of the Fulani people are less than 1% in our country. And these idiotic people, with the help of the British, Britain, if you're hearing me, you are put on notice. You are not going to get away with it. You have gone a long time. And your useless contraption called Amalgamation of 1914 is already null and void. As at yesterday, it was 7 years overdue. Any treaty more than 100 years is overdue. And you have not called us, you have not asked your stooge, the Fulanis, to come to the table. They don't want to Jojo, they want war. They haven't seen anything yet. They will know what we are made of. The Biafrans and the Yoruba nation, we're not going to take it anymore. The end has come. From my research, I learned that the Igbo people have been even in the area since the 13th century. Yes. I also learned, in case you don't know, the Igbos come from Eri. Eri happens to be the grandson of God. God happens to be the seventh son of Israel, of Jacob, in the Bible. Yes. So if these people have been existing for that long, where did this useless Fulani come to come and tell them how to rule their land? How to rule their resources? They want to take over. They are not going to take over. We will not. Maybe we have all been soft, including the Yoruba nation.
Hello, good about SAV. This is Satellite Media. Haven't listened to the statement that came from a Yoruba man about the excesses of the Fulani herdsmen in Nigeria. Let us do analysis of the danger the Fulanis pose to Nigeria as a sovereign state. When it's said that Nigeria is a country that have many ethnic groups, though we have 3 major ethnic groups, I'm talking about the Hausas, the Igbos, and the Yoruba, but the Fulanis happen to be a minority ethnicity in Nigeria. But currently, their antecedents, their mode of operation is threatening the corporate existence of Nigeria. We understand that the former government of Muhammadu Buhari gave them so much leverage, so much opportunity to abuse some Nigerians, to the extent that we had a situation where the Fulanis were almost in every side of the society by way of kidnapping Nigerians in their farmland. And as we speak, in Benue, in some areas, people can no longer go back to farm, can no longer go to farm. We understand that Benue is the basket food of the nation, but currently, as we speak, farmers can no longer go to farm in some areas because of the excesses of the herders. And this is a worrisome situation that must be addressed if we must deal with the issue of food inflation in Nigeria. Because currently, Nigerians are not farming. That's why we are experiencing this food inflation. And we have a government in place. The president, however I look at it, is the president and the commander of the armed forces. I think it belongs on the president to see to what he can do to address the essence of the herders. And we'll be saying it, that Nigeria there's nothing sacrosanct about Nigeria when it comes to whether Nigeria should volcanize or not. Because as we speak, Nigeria is a country made up of different ethnic groups. And Nigerian government is a signatory to UN Charter that talks about self-determination. And if you look at Nigeria as a country, people that make up Nigeria by way of their composition and what unite people naturally. By providence, I will clearly tell you that Nigeria is not created as one entity like we have in Nigeria. That is not to say that if the people unanimously decide to come together under the umbrella of Nigeria, that is a crime. But if the people at the end of the day decide to go their separate ways by way of referendum, by way of self-determination, because of the excesses of some ethnic groups that the government may not be willing or do not have the capacity to address, I don't think it is a wrong thing. That is why the government must rise to the occasion and see that they address the excesses of herders. We have seen agitation of some people from the southeastern part of the country say they want to leave the country. We have seen the one that is coming from current man from the southeastern part of the country. I'm talking about the man in Finland, the Biafra Prime Minister in exile, that is Samanepa. And before it came to the level where Samanepa started fighting the struggle, we have seen the lives of Uwazurike fought, and at the point, I think Nnamdi Kanu took over the baton from him. Currently, Nnamdi Kanu is facing terrorism-related charges in Nigerian courts, and DSS have kept him in captivity since then. But I think the bottom line is we should realize and understand that the government have a responsibility to foster peace and harmonious relationship among her citizens. And the best way to do this is to ensure that when issues of agitation arise, when people raise issue of marginalization, it is addressed. Because however I look at it, the reason we are not seeing an end to agitation for the sovereign state of Biafra is because of the way the Igbos are being treated in Nigeria. We have taken note of how the Biafra war was fought because of ethno-religious imbalance that existed in Nigeria. Let me quickly say at this point that even up to now, those imbalances that gave rise to civil war have not been addressed. So it beats all imagination where you can feel that agitation should stop. That is why someone like Professor Wole Soyinka have made it clear, of course abundantly clear, that you cannot defeat Biafra because it's an ideology. And all this while, the government have been fighting this war, or rather agitation for sovereign state of Biafra. They have not started fighting from an ideological point of view. And until they start fighting from that ideological point of view, they are not in any way near solution to it. Because as we stand, the Igbos, the Biafrans, are saying we are tired of this construction called Nigeria, this entity called Nigeria. We want to secede. And the way they are going about it is the way of self-determination that is permitted by the Constitution of Nigeria, because the UN Charter that talks about self-determination have been ratified in Nigeria. To that extent, it has been domiciled in Nigeria, and it is part of our legal jurisprudence. So if it's part of our legal jurisprudence, you cannot say anyone going by way of self-determination that is doing it within the base of the law is offending any relevant section of this Constitution. So it's on that note, I'm of the view that when issues of agitation arise, perhaps because of marginalization, instead of government start handling, arresting, intimidating the proponents of such move or such opinion, I think the best thing to do is to call for a roundtable conversation. You may call it Sovereign National Conference, you may call it any name, but let's have a dialogue, a table where we can dialogue. Bring all interest groups to that table. Let us see whether we can resolve the gray areas. And who say we cannot part ways if at the end of the day it's not possible to come together as a people, as a country. But for to say that we should not discuss it, I think that's the greatest injustice that is fueling the agitation. I must say very big thank you for your time. This is Satellite Media, and I'm Mr. Matthew.